I was 26 and burned out. The past 2 weeks had been nothing but deadlines, late nights, and back-to-back Zoom calls that made my head spin. Being a graphic designer sounds glamorous until you're cranking out branding proposals at 2 a.m. with a half-eaten protein bar as your dinner. So, that Saturday, October 14th, 2023, I decided to finally give myself a break. The Westridge Mall in Springfield, Ohio isn't the fanciest place, but it's familiar. Cozy in a weird suburban way. And the Chick-fil-A there? Comfort food central. Their waffle fries and spicy deluxe sandwich had become my guilty pleasure. It was busy, sure, but something about the chaos made it feel normal. I threw on a hoodie, jeans, and some sneakers. Nothing flashy. I didn't do my hair, didn't bother with makeup. I just wanted to blend in, eat my chicken sandwich in peace, and maybe walk around the mall a bit before heading home to binge-watch something brainless on Netflix. When I got there around 1:30 p.m., the food court was packed. Families, teenagers, the usual weekend crowd. I got in line, pulled out my phone, and started scrolling through Instagram stories. Everything felt ordinary, just another Saturday. Until it didn't. That's when I felt it. Someone standing just a little too close behind me. I shifted slightly, hoping he'd take the hint. He didn't. Instead, he leaned in. "Hey, you look like you could use a drink." "My treat." His voice cut through the noise. I glanced up. Late 30s, maybe 40. Tall, with a scruffy beard, and eyes that stared a beat too long. He had this look, like he was trying too hard to be charming, but something was off. Too forward, too sudden. I gave a polite smile. "No thanks, I'm good." But he wasn't done. "Come on," he said, gesturing to the counter. "Just a lemonade. It's hot out." I tightened my grip on my phone. "Really, I'm fine." He smirked but didn't say anything else. Just stood there, watching me, until it was finally his turn. I ordered quickly and got out of there. But the weirdness? It didn't end with lunch. I found a small table near the far side of the food court, tucked between the escalators and a Panda Express. I figured I'd eat quickly, then do a lap around the mall to clear my head. The guy from the line? I told myself he was just some socially awkward dude trying to flirt. Harmless. Annoying, but harmless. As I unwrapped my sandwich and took my first bite, I scanned the crowd. Habit, I guess. Years of living alone had taught me to always be aware of my surroundings. And there he was, across the food court, sitting alone on a bench, drink in hand, facing directly toward me. Not on his phone, not eating, just watching. My stomach tightened. I looked down, pretending not to notice, and pulled out my phone again. Texted my best friend. "Some dude from Chick-fil-A line is staring at me. Creepy vibes." She replied instantly, "Want me to call you?" I told her no. I didn't want to overreact. Maybe he just happened to sit there. Maybe I was being paranoid. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling. The kind of unease that creeps up your spine and sits heavy in your chest. I finished eating fast, dumped my tray and headed toward the clothing stores on the upper level. A little window shopping sounded like a good distraction. I stopped into Forever 21, browsed a few racks, then wandered into H&M. That's when I felt it again. That itch between my shoulders, that sense of being followed. I turned slowly. He was there, leaning against the railing just outside the store, arms crossed, still watching, still not pretending to do anything else. My heart thumped hard. This wasn't random. He was following me. I left the store and started walking faster, weaving through the crowd. I didn't want to cause a scene. Didn't want to run. Just wanted to lose him. I ducked into a Bath and Body Works, pretended to be interested in candles, waited, then peeked outside. He was gone. Relieved but still on edge, I decided it was time to leave. But getting to my car turned out to be the most dangerous part of all. The sun was warm as I stepped out into the parking lot. Cars gleamed under the autumn sky, and people moved about like everything was fine. Normal, safe. I hit the unlock button on my key fob and spotted my blue Honda Civic a few rows down. Just as I reached it, I heard the sound that made my blood run cold. "Hey, wait up!" I turned. It was him, jogging toward me, hand raised like we were old friends. Every instinct screamed at me to get in the car and lock the doors, but I was frozen. My mind raced with possible responses. Run? Scream? Pepper spray? "Hey, don't freak." "Out," he said, breathing a little heavy. "My car broke down. I saw you heading out and thought maybe you could give me a quick ride." His voice was casual, almost friendly. But his eyes? They had that same unsettling gleam. He stepped closer, too close, blocking my car door. "No, sorry," I said firmly, trying to stay calm. "I can't help you." He didn't move. "Just a few blocks. Not far. Come on. Be cool." I tightened my grip on the door handle. "Please, step back." Still, he didn't budge. That's when something clicked inside me. A mix of fear and anger. I realized I had to do something fast or this could go very wrong. "All right," I said suddenly. "Fine, get in." He looked surprised, then smiled. "Thanks, I owe you." I nodded toward the passenger side. As soon as he stepped away, from my door to walk around the front of the car, I acted. I slammed my door shut, locked it, and turned the ignition. My hands were shaking, but I didn't hesitate. He reached for the passenger handle, but I hit the gas. Tires screeched as I reversed, swung the wheel hard, and sped out of the lot. I looked in my rearview mirror. He was standing there, mouth open, yelling something I couldn't hear. I didn't stop. I didn't stop driving until I was 2 exits away from the mall. I pulled into a gas station, parked in full view of the security cameras, and finally let myself breathe. My hands were still trembling as I dialed mall security. I gave them a full description of the man. His appearance, what he'd said, how he followed me, how he tried to get into my car. They said they'd send someone to the food court to check the area, but when they called me back 20 minutes later, they said he was already gone. No sign of him. Vanished. They took down my information and advised me to file a police report. I did, though part of me felt like it wouldn't matter. No license plate, no name, no photo. Just a story that sounded more like a warning than a crime. But it was real. Every second of it. That night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face. I kept thinking, what if I'd let him in the car? What if I'd hesitated a second longer? What was he really planning? I started double-checking the locks on my doors, avoiding crowded places, carrying pepper spray in my purse. It's wild how one normal afternoon can flip your whole sense of safety upside down. It's been months since that day, but I still can't walk into that Chick-fil-A without thinking about it. I've only gone back once and only with friends. No more solo mall trips, no more earbuds in public. People say Springfield is a safe town, and mostly it is. But safe doesn't mean invincible. I never saw that guy again. Not at the mall, not anywhere. Maybe he moved on. Maybe he found someone else who didn't say no. That's the part that haunts me. I used to roll my eyes when people said to trust your gut, but now I live by it. The moment something feels off, I listen. I don't care if it feels rude. I don't care if someone gets offended. Because that day, in the middle of a Chick-fil-A on a normal Saturday, I almost became a headline. And the only reason I didn't, I trusted myself and I acted. Working the night shift at Chick-fil-A wasn't what I imagined doing in my late 20s, but here I was, assistant manager at one of the busiest 24-hour locations off I-85 in Charlotte, North Carolina. It wasn't a glamorous job, but it paid well enough, and for the most part, I liked the structure of it. I worked 3 night closes a week, usually Tuesday through Thursday. The routine had become second nature: post-rush cleanup, inventory, lock the coolers, secure the drive-thru, and head out by around 2:30 a.m. Late nights meant quiet. The hum of the refrigerators and the occasional thud of ice shifting in the machine were the only sounds once the last employee clocked out. That night, early Friday morning technically, I was alone, finishing up the nightly inventory with an extra shot of caffeine in my system and the security monitor on in the background. Summer in Charlotte doesn't cool down much after midnight, but I loved the peacefulness. Fewer customers. No screaming kids. No complicated orders. Just me, the fryers, and a to-do list. By 2:25 a.m. I was done. I packed up my laptop, grabbed my keys and purse from the office, and headed for the back door. I always left through the employee exit. Easier access to my car, fewer weirdos hanging around. When I pushed open the heavy metal door and stepped into the warm night, I noticed it immediately. There was a black SUV parked way too close to my silver Civic. At first, I thought maybe it was a late-night food delivery or someone sleeping off a long drive. Normal for our highway location. But then I saw them. 2 men, both in black hoodies. Both wearing ski masks. Ski masks in July. My heart dropped to my stomach. They weren't moving, just sitting there staring straight ahead. I froze, hand halfway to unlocking my car. My keys slipped from my fingers and hit the pavement with a soft jingle that sounded thunderous in the stillness. And then I ran. I slammed the employee door shut behind me, engaged the deadbolt, and staggered backward like something might bust through at any second. My breathing was already shaky, my hands trembling. I couldn't believe what I'd just seen. 2 masked men, waiting, watching. No doubt in my mind now they weren't there for waffle fries. I bolted straight to the office, heart racing like it wanted to escape my chest. My first instinct was to check the monitors. I clicked through, the camera feeds on the mounted screen above the desk. There it was, the black SUV idling next to my car. 2 figures inside, still waiting. One of them moved suddenly, and the headlights flicked on. I grabbed my phone, thumb fumbling. Over the screen, dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? I'm at Chick-fil-A off I-85 in Charlotte, our 24-hour location. I'm the manager. There are 2 men in a black SUV wearing ski masks. They parked next to my car. I think they're about to break in. Okay, stay on the line with me. Are you inside the building now? Yes, I locked the back door. I'm in the manager's office, please. And then I heard it. Slam. Car doors. 2 of them. Then footsteps. Then the sound that turned my blood ice cold. Crash. Shattering glass from the front of the restaurant, somewhere near the drive-thru. It had to be the window we'd just cleaned and locked. They were in. They're inside, I whispered into the phone. They broke. The window, they're in. Officers are en route. Stay hidden. Do not confront them. I couldn't lock the office door. It didn't even have a latch. I scanned the room and ducked behind a stack of unopened lemonade syrup boxes. I had no weapons. Nothing but a heavy gallon-sized canister of fryer grease. I clutched it with both hands, crouched down, and tried to steady my breathing. Footsteps, closer now, male voices, low, fast, nervous. They were moving toward the back, toward me. I could hear every step they took, heavy soles thudding across the tile floor. My breath hitched with each one. They weren't in any hurry, just slowly, methodically moving toward the back of the restaurant, through the kitchen I'd just spent an hour cleaning. One of them spoke, his voice muffled but urgent. Something about registers, something about time. They were looking for cash. They wouldn't find much. We emptied the drawers and dropped everything into the safe before 2 a.m. But I knew from training, most robbers don't like surprises. They panic. That's when people get hurt. I crouched lower behind the syrup boxes, pressing myself into the dark corner of the office. The air was thick with fryer grease and lemon concentrate. I could feel sweat rolling down my neck, and my hands ached from holding the makeshift weapon. The canister felt heavier by the second, but it was the only thing I had. The office door creaked, just slightly. I saw the edge of a shoe pause in the threshold. A flashlight beam scanned across the desk. I held my breath, willing myself not to move. Then, sirens, loud, piercing, close. Everything changed in a second. I heard one of the men shout, "Go!" Footsteps pounded in the opposite direction. Doors slammed once, twice. Tires squealed in the parking lot. I exhaled, still frozen. Through the office window, I saw blue lights bouncing off the walls of the lot. 3 CMPD cruisers flew into view, boxing in the exit. Officers jumped out, guns drawn. I didn't move until one of them came to the back door, knocking hard. "Charlotte PD. Anyone inside?" I ran to unlock the deadbolt, nearly collapsing from the relief. The officers cleared the building. The SUV, abandoned. Stolen plates. Inside, crowbars, empty duffel bags, gloves, a burner phone. They missed me by minutes, but it was too close. Way too close. The sun was already peeking over the horizon by the time the last officer left. Chick-fil-A's lot looked like a crime scene. Shattered glass near the drive-thru, police tape strung haphazardly across the entrance, and security lights still flickering overhead. I sat in the lobby with a cold bottle of water an officer handed me earlier, staring blankly at the broken window. The adrenaline had worn off. Now I just felt sick, exhausted, the weight of what almost happened to hit me all at once. If I hadn't dropped my keys, if I'd hesitated longer before running back inside, I could have been in that SUV, or worse. The general manager showed up around 5:45 a.m., eyes wide when he saw the damage. He called corporate, started a report, called the maintenance guy. Security footage later confirmed what I already suspected. The SUV had pulled into the lot at 1:47 a.m. They'd waited over an hour, just sitting there, watching, tracking our patterns. They knew we closed the registers by 2. They knew I usually left around 2:30. They were waiting for me. It wasn't random. That was the part that chilled me the most. I gave my statement. Again. Officers walked me through what to expect next. Follow-up reports, insurance for the damage, a detective might call. It all felt surreal, like I was stuck in a movie watching someone else live it. But it wasn't fiction. This happened in a Chick-fil-A off the interstate. To me. The only thing that grounded me was the fact that I made it out. I didn't freeze. I didn't panic. I acted. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just some botched robbery. It felt personal, like they knew someone would be alone, like they'd done this before. It's been 3 weeks since the break-in, and I haven't closed alone. Since. Not once. Corporate approved a 2-person closing policy, and now CMPD does a drive-through every hour from midnight to 4 a.m. We even installed an automatic lock on the office door and upgraded the security cams. But even with the extra precautions, I don't feel safe the way I used to. I still park under the brightest light. I still scan the lot before unlocking the door. I still check the mirrors 10 times before pulling out. I keep that same can of fryer grease in the office too. Silly maybe, but it reminds me I did the right thing, that I kept calm, that I survived. People laugh when they hear I manage a Chick-fil-A overnight shift like it's just handing out sandwiches and refilling sauces. But those of us who do this job know better. There's real danger in quiet moments, in empty lots, in routine. Sometimes, it's not the rush that gets you. It's what comes after. I still love my job, I love my team, I even love the smell of waffle fries in the fryer. But now, every shift comes with a quiet promise I make to myself before I clock in. Don't ever let your guard down. Not again. Because the night I almost didn't make it home? That started like every other. Just another Tuesday night. Until it wasn't. If you've never worked an overnight shift at a 24-hour Chick-fil-A in the middle of Atlanta, let me paint the picture for you. It's part chaos, part quiet. Between midnight and 2 a.m., it's drunk college kids ordering 3 milkshakes and asking if we have pancakes. After that, it's mostly rideshare drivers and the occasional guy who just doesn't want to go home. I'd been on this shift for 3 years. I liked the silence between 4 and 6 a.m., the moment the world sort of resets. That night was like any other. I was on mop duty, music playing low from the Bluetooth speaker we're technically not allowed to use. My coworker Deshaun was in the back prepping biscuit trays. I had one AirPod in, wiping down a corner booth with the last of the sanitizer when I heard the soft ding from the entrance. It was 4:45 a.m. Nobody ever walks in at 4:45, and never through the front door. The woman who came in was like something out of a time capsule. Black veil, lace gloves, a long dress that touched the floor. Like she'd stepped straight out of an old Southern funeral. Her steps were slow, dragging. Her hands clutched a small paper booklet. I caught the words in loving memory printed in cursive. She didn't order, didn't even look at the counter, just walked straight to the booth near the window, sat down and started crying, loud, gut-deep sobs, the kind that make your skin crawl because they're so raw, so broken. I looked at Deshaun through the kitchen window. He gave me a, "You okay?" shrug. I nodded. We're trained for this kind of thing. Customer in distress. Bring them water, napkins, be present but not pushy. So I grabbed a cup and headed over. Before I could say a word, she grabbed my wrist. Her grip was stronger than I expected. Tight. Bony fingers locking me in place. "Do you believe in God, child?" she asked, voice hoarse and cracked. I hesitated. Should have lied. Not really? The second I answered, her whole body stiffened. Her crying stopped. Just like that. The sound of her sobs sucked out of the room like air from a vacuum. She turned her head and looked up at me. Her eyes weren't just red, they were feral, wide and glassy with something I couldn't read. Her lip twitched. The water cup in my hand trembled slightly. She didn't let go of my wrist. "You heathens," she whispered. "You're why God took my Henry." I blinked. "Ma'am, I'm sorry for your loss, but..." She cut me off by slamming both hands on the table, hard. The funeral program slipped to the floor. Sweet tea splashed up from a mostly empty cup she must have brought in with her. Chairs scraped. The entire room echoed with that single violent motion. "You and your kind spit on the Lord's mercy," she shrieked. I backed away, shaking off her grip. My elbow bumped the counter behind me and I nearly dropped the water. I looked around like someone might help, but it was just me, Deshaun in the back, and this woman unraveling in our dining room. She stood suddenly, knocking over her chair. "I've seen it. I've seen what comes for the unholy." I raised both hands like a traffic cop. "Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to calm down or leave." But she wasn't hearing me. Her body trembled with some sort of deep, burning conviction. The air around her felt heavy, charged. "The wrath comes for you next." Her voice shook the windows. I bolted. Sprinting around the counter, I hit the lockdown button behind the register, standard protocol during a disturbance. The front. Doors locked with a click. She ran to them, clawing at the handles like a trapped animal, nails screeching against the glass. I ducked behind the counter just in time to hear her whisper through the door. "I'll be back." With the fire. We called the cops right away. I was still behind the counter, hands pressed against my knees, trying to stop shaking. Deshaun stayed on the phone with 911 while I peeked over the counter edge. The woman was pacing outside, circling the restaurant in slow, angry steps. She pressed her face up against the glass again. I swear she was humming. Cops didn't show. Up for 25 minutes. By then she had disappeared. Not like vanished, just gone. No vehicle on camera, no direction of departure. Just gone. We gave our statements. They took copies of the security footage. I went home around 7 that morning with an icy ball in my stomach that didn't go away, even after a hot shower and 3 shots of espresso. The police followed up around noon. They'd found her. She was parked just a few spaces from our building. In a beat-up Mercury Grand Marquis, engine off, windows up. She was slumped over the wheel, funeral program still in her lap. In the passenger seat, a gallon jug of gasoline and a rusty .38 revolver. She had a list with her, just names, fast food locations, cities. Ours was circled in red. Turns out, Henry died in a car crash on I-75, 20 years ago. It was a freak accident involving a McDonald's delivery truck. Ever since, she'd convinced herself God was punishing the world for abandoning old ways. She'd been quietly showing up at fast food joints across Georgia and Alabama, threatening, rambling, leaving strange messages on receipts. Ours was the first time she'd gotten aggressive. That night stuck with me, not just because of the threat, but because of the way she looked at me, like I wasn't a person anymore, just some target in her divine war. We stopped letting people Inside after midnight that same week. Word spread quickly. Employees from nearby locations started texting me, asking what really happened. Some claimed they'd seen her too. One girl over at the Howell Mill Road Chick-fil-A said she remembered a woman in black showing up 2 weeks earlier, asked to pray over her hands, left without buying anything. Corporate didn't say much publicly. They issued a statement about employee safety and mental health resources, but avoided mentioning the gun and gas. Our location quietly installed bulletproof glass at the front counter. We moved all dine-in traffic to drive-through only after 11 p.m. Still, the damage was done. That sense of safe familiarity overnight workers depend on, gone. Deshaun requested a shift change, said he couldn't sleep right after that night. I don't blame him. I kept catching myself glancing over my shoulder during trash runs, walking to my car, wiping tables at 4 a.m. For a while, I kept replaying the moment she grabbed my wrist, the temperature of her hand, the smell of something sour and old and sweet, the way her voice flipped from grief to rage in a second flat. Some people said she was mentally ill, delusional, off her meds. Maybe. But to me, it felt like something deeper. Like the kind of pain that rots a person from the inside out. That kind of grief, left to fester for decades, can do strange things to a mind. It warps love into fury, faith into vengeance. That night reminded me how thin the line is between normal and not. Between, can I get extra sauce and I'll be back with fire? And how sometimes the people who seem most fragile are the ones carrying the heaviest darkness. I transferred to the morning shift about a month after it all happened. I don't close anymore, don't want to. Not after what I saw, what I felt. I need the sun. I need noise and people and movement. I need the sound of toddlers crying over spilled milkshakes and moms apologizing for their kids yelling about nuggets at 9 a.m. Normal chaos. The kind that doesn't stare you dead in the eye and call you a heathen. The location's different. Now, we've got stricter policies, more cameras, a new night manager, but I still think about her sometimes. Especially when I wipe down the front windows. There's a faint smudge we've never been able to get off, right where her face pressed against the glass. They say she was taken in for psychiatric evaluation, that they're trying to get her long-term help. But every now and then when I open early and the sky's still dim, I glance out at the lot, and I swear, for a split second, I see a black dress near the far end. Maybe it's just my mind playing tricks, but either way, I always keep the doors locked until sunrise. Because at Chick-fil-A, we're trained for almost everything. Complaints, allergies, even robberies. But nothing in the handbook prepares you for when grief walks through the door in a funeral veil and calls you by name. It was late 2022 when I picked up the overnight shift at a 24-hour Chick-fil-A just off Highway 85 in Georgia. I was 23, out of school, broke, and scraping together rent with 2 jobs. Chick-fil-A was supposed to be the easy one, clean, structured, Christian-owned. But that location? That one felt different from the start. The restaurant sat between a half-dead truck stop and a decaying mall that had more boarded windows than open ones. After midnight, the place felt like a fishbowl. Floor-to-ceiling windows all around the dining room with just enough light from the broken neon sign to catch your reflection. You'd jump at your own shadow. My trainer, Jamal, was friendly but checked out. He rushed through the safety protocols in a half hour and dipped 10 minutes into my first solo shift. "Ain't nobody coming through here tonight," he said, tossing me a wink. "Just stock the sauce bins and stay off your phone." It was just me, a mop bucket, and the hum of the ice machine. I killed time sanitizing booths, restocking lids, and wondering why I was still scared of the dark at my age. There was no drive-through line, no kitchen noise, just the quiet. Too quiet. I'd peek up from the register and catch my own face in the glass, heart skipping because for a second, I thought someone was standing outside. It was around 1:30 a.m. when the front door chimed. I looked up and froze. A man stepped in, late 40s, jumpsuit covered in grease. There were no cars in the lot, not one. He didn't smile, just walked up and started tapping the counter with one hand fast and sharp, like he was keeping time with a song only he could hear. "Y'all got that secret menu?" he asked. I blinked. We serve the regular menu all night, sir." He leaned in, too close. His breath was gasoline and mint gum. "Nah," he said, lips curling. "I mean the real menu." There was something in his eyes. Not anger, just too much energy. Like he was wide awake while the rest of the world slept. I gave the practiced smile we're trained for and repeated the usual. "We've got our full menu available, sir. No secret items." He didn't blink, just stared like he was trying to decide something. Then he left. Didn't say another word, just turned and walked out. I stood there for a full minute, waiting for the nerves in my stomach to settle. Weird? Sure. But night shifts come with weird. Drunks, sleepwalkers, tweakers. You learn to roll with it. But 20 minutes later, the door chimed again. Same guy. This time, fists clenched. "My order's wrong," he snapped. My body went cold. I hadn't rung him up. I knew that. There wasn't even a ticket in the system. I opened my mouth to explain, but he cut me off. "You trying to mess with me?" he barked. His voice was lower now, slower, measured, like he was holding something back. Sir, I don't have an order for you. I can take it now if you'd like." He slammed both palms on the counter so hard the napkin holder jumped. Then he leaned over, practically nose to nose. "You're one of them, ain't you?" My stomach dropped. "I don't know what you mean." "You know what I'm talking about," he whispered. "You hide in the sauce." I didn't respond. I stepped back, hit the panic button behind the register, and kept eye contact like Jamal said, calm, polite, neutral. He walked out again, but this time he circled around to the drive-through window. I heard the first bang, flat hand slapping glass, then another, harder. He was yelling now about purifying the oil and cleansing the kitchen. That's when I ducked into the walk-in freezer. Phone shaking in my hands, I called 911. The cold hit me like a slap. My shirt was damp from sweat and fryer heat, and the freezer turned that into an instant chill. I huddled between boxes of frozen nuggets in the prep cart, my breath fogging up the inside of the door window. The police dispatcher answered on the second ring. I gave the address, the man's description, told her he was outside smashing the drive-through window and muttering threats. She asked if I was safe. "Right now, yeah," I whispered, "but I think he's trying to get inside." Then I heard it, glass shattering. My heart jumped into my throat. I slapped my palm over my mouth to keep quiet. The vent above the freezer fan carried sound like a speaker system. I heard him, inside now. Slow, heavy steps, something metal dragging along tile. His voice, soft and rhythmic. "Saw what you were hiding," he muttered. "Little lies, little sins. Burn it clean." I crouched lower. There was a loud crash. Sounded like a tray rack tipping over. Then silence. A long one. That kind of silence that makes you feel like something is waiting just outside the door. The dispatcher said officers were 3 minutes away. I had never known 3 minutes to feel so long. Then, footsteps. Closer, slower, muffled voices. 2 people now. The men's room door opened, then shut. Then water running. Then nothing. I sat there another minute. Then I heard sirens, fast, coming from both ends of the highway. When I cracked the freezer door, I saw red and blue lights reflecting off the lobby glass. The cops burst in just seconds later. They found him in the women's restroom. He'd locked himself in, trying to flush a stack of our employee schedules down the toilet. They cuffed him without a fight. Just sat him down on the lobby floor. His hands were raw, probably from the glass, and he was muttering nonsense about sacred sauce codes and hidden recipes of judgment. He didn't have ID, just a plastic bag with receipts, gas station mints, and a Chick-fil-A name badge from a location 3 states away. Not our name, not any employee we knew. They cleared the bathrooms, Found the destroyed schedule printouts, a Sharpie, and a half-empty bottle of lighter fluid tucked inside a cleaning caddy. Lighter fluid. He'd been inside the store with lighter fluid, and I'd been hiding in a room full of frozen food and cardboard boxes. It took everything in me not to throw up. Cops asked me 100 questions. I answered what I could. Mostly, I just kept replaying the sound of him tapping the counter, that weird rhythm, that off-key humming I'd barely registered until I was hiding in the freezer. Later, they told me he'd been stalking an overnight worker from a different Chick-fil-A, followed her from one store to the next after she switched locations. When she quit, he just kept showing up. They think he confused me for her. We reviewed the security tapes. He was already watching the building from across the street at midnight. 2 hours, just standing there. The company paid to replace the drive-through glass and beefed up nighttime procedures. Fryers were now kept running at full heat overnight. New code words were added to the call-in checklist for emergencies, just in case. I only work mornings now. I transferred to a new location, closer to home, busier, brighter. The kind with a kids' play area and regular customers who know your name and tip extra during holidays. But I still think about that night. I think about how I almost brushed it off. About the way his fingers twitched when he asked for the real menu. About how fast things turned from weird to dangerous. People assume overnight fast food is boring. Just burgers and fries and tired feet. But that night taught me something different. Sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones who believe they're on a mission. That Chick-fil-A now has security bars on the front doors. No more overnight dine-in. Bulletproof glass. Panic. Buttons at every register. There's still a crack in the drive-through window frame. Small, just above eye level. They never fully replaced the pane, just patched it. I see it every time I visit that side of town. And every time I pass a guy in a jumpsuit at a gas station, I smell gasoline and mint and I think, there's a stained uniform in an evidence locker somewhere. And I hope it stays there. Because when you're alone at night in a place full of light and glass, even a chicken sandwich can feel like a last line of defense. I've been working the closing shift at the 24-hour Chick-fil-A off Poplar Avenue in Memphis since the end of 2020. It's not glamorous, but the pay's decent and management trusts me. We don't get many customers after midnight, mostly rideshare drivers, night shift nurses, and the occasional drunk college kid. I know the rhythm of the night. Wipe down trays, stock sauces, prep for breakfast by 4 a.m. My usual crew included Marcus, our weekend night security guy, 6'4", ex-college linebacker, a gentle giant with a low tolerance for nonsense, and Kayla, a senior in nursing school who worked the register and drive-through. That night, it was just Marcus and me. Kayla called out sick, which was already throwing off the balance. It was a weirdly quiet night. A few nugget runs, one DoorDasher, and a lady who ordered a milkshake and sat in the corner booth for an hour staring into nothing. Around 1:30 a.m., I wiped down the sauce dispensers and told Marcus we'd probably be dead until breakfast. He nodded, half watching the security feed. I didn't see him walk up. I just heard the door slam open like the start of a bar fight. The guy was massive, built like a diesel engine, maybe 6'2", covered in grease with oil-stained overalls and steel-toe boots. He stomped up to the counter, breathing heavy, his face bright red. He smelled like a mix of bourbon, gas fumes, and sweat. Then he pointed at me, his hand shaking. "You're the one she's been texting." I blinked. "I'm sorry?" He jabbed his finger again. "Amanda, don't act dumb. She said you work here. You her little chicken boy?" Before I could react, Marcus stepped between us, hands up. "Sir, you need to leave." The man didn't listen. He let out a roar and flipped the table nearest him. Sweet tea and waffle fries went flying across the tile. Trays clattered. The milkshake lady bolted. I was frozen for a second, heart hammering. He kept yelling, "You think you can ruin my family over some damn nuggets?" "Huh?" Marcus told me to call 911. I fumbled for my phone, trying to stay calm, trying not to look like I was scared, out of my mind. Marcus stepped forward again, firm but measured. "Sir, you need to step outside right now or the police..." That's when the guy pulled out a box cutter. Quick. like it had been waiting in his boot for something exactly like this. He slashed. Marcus dodged back, but not fast enough. The blade caught his forearm, tearing through his uniform shirt. Blood spilled fast, dripping onto the tile and smearing across the floor as Marcus backed away. I didn't think, I just ran. I sprinted toward the back hallway leading to the drive-through window. I could hear him coming, his boots slamming against him, the floor shouting something about judgment, about homewreckers and God's fury. I yanked open the drive-through door and practically dove outside, apron flapping. My heart was pounding so loud it drowned out everything else. Then I felt a yank on my back. My apron caught. He had it. I stumbled, twisted out of it, and fell into the parking lot, skinning my knee. I scrambled backward, looking for anything, someone, a car, something. He was lunging at me, box cutter gleaming under the parking lot lights, screaming incoherently. Then, screech, headlights, tires, a loud, sick thud. A Lyft driver, some poor guy just trying to pick up an order, clipped him going 25. The man rolled up on the hood and crumpled onto the asphalt, groaning. The driver jumped out, stunned. What the hell just happened? I was too shaken to speak. Marcus came stumbling out with his arm wrapped in a towel, shouting for someone to call the cops. The guy tried to crawl, still muttering about cheating, chicken slingers, and how the truth was in the sauces. When police arrived, they cuffed him right there in the lot. EMTs patched up Marcus. The driver gave a statement, still shaken. When the police searched him, they found 37 missed calls to a woman named Amanda, a folded-up piece of paper with 6 names, mine, Marcus's, and a few others from our day shift. Our Chick-fil-A location pinned on his phone, tracked for 3 weeks. The craziest part? Amanda wasn't making it up. She had been cheating, but not with me. It was our day shift manager, Terrence. That guy had been slick-talking his way through half the staff for months. Corporate shut us down for a day to clean up, repair damage, and install new panic buttons. Marcus got 12 stitches and a gift card that barely covered his gas. As for me, I moved to the lunch shift. No more 1:45 a.m. accusations, no more blood on the tile. But I still flinch when the front door swings open too fast. Because at Chick-fil-A, the real danger sometimes isn't the fryer or the food. It's the unhinged stranger who thinks vengeance is served with a side of waffle fries. And somewhere in Tennessee, a divorce lawyer probably tells this story every time he orders a spicy deluxe.